I remember being, as a kid, being shy and being a bit insecure about myself. I've always felt like I was different and like there was something wrong with me. I'd say around grade school that I noticed that something was off. I've always been an anxious kid and worrying. I remember staying up at night and just worrying about school, about my family. I also had like contamination, so for me it was fear of germs, and so I would wash my hands hundreds and hundreds of times per day. So I would make up things just so that they wouldn't know that I had OCD.
At the age of 14, Gabrielle was diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Left homebound and often bedbound, she began feeling helpless and became suicidal.
So when I was at my darkest time, I felt so alone and so like nobody understood and very isolated. And it felt like I was living in a nightmare and no one could see. It was just darkness. There was no hope. There wasn't even life anymore. I just felt stuck, like there was nowhere to go.
As Gabrielle began to recover, she also began to feel less alone.
So the first person that I talked to actually was my sister, and it was the first time that I talked openly about my thoughts, and that was really a turning point.
Ultimately, exposure and response prevention, or ERP treatment, began working for her.
This therapy is really exposing yourself to the fear, so exposing yourself to the thoughts and staying with that anxiety.
Soon, Gabrielle began to feel life turning around.
A year after being discharged from the hospital, that I started to see that I was going back to school, that my grades were more stable, and that I was reaching out to friends and doing more things, and also that's when I started wanting to do advocacy for mental health. I decided to start a young adult support group for people of my age group to share their stories and share what is going on, their struggles.
Today, Gabrielle continues to speak publicly. Her openness and honesty has encouraged many youth to open up, feel understood, and no longer feel alone.
I've been able to turn this pain and struggling that I've gone through and letting people know that it's okay to struggle with this, with whatever they're dealing with, and that they're not alone.